The race toward better technology has brought significant improvements to people's lives. But in that race, the focus became technology, leaving behind the heart of service, the very connection with those for whom technology must serve. We'd like to change all that. Here's a warm hello from Eastern Communications. We're here to present a refreshing point of view that when it comes to delivering business communication solutions, it's time to bring back the human connection because it's just as important as the technology. This is what sets us apart from all others. Eastern Communications is business made personal. It means getting intimate with our clients' needs so we can provide thoughtful solutions to help them achieve their goals. That's why we are madaling kausap, may malasakit. We are maalam at maaasahan. When we have a heart for service, our every move seeks to meet the needs of our clients. Our clients are happy when their needs are met. When they're happy, they're in a better position to make their own customers happy.
Being in the service industry myself, I can say that biggest isn't always better. It's the one that serves you best, the one that treats you right.
You see, beyond advanced communications technology, we see the people who will use them.
In my work, I'm having a good day when everything just works well. Nakaka-good mood talaga.
And so, we see problems that must be solved.
An expert is only useful if he understands your business. Diyan magaling ang Eastern.
For every challenge, there is a happier outcome.
In my work, when opportunity calls, answer agad.
Every goal is the destination.
Kahit maliit pa lang yung negosyo ko, big help talaga yung alaga ka. Salamat, Eastern.
We see every relationship that must be strengthened.
Thank you for making me feel like your biggest client.
As we do all we can to offer technology that is always solid and reliable, we never lose sight of our brand of personalized customer service. It's a connection that is both high-tech and high-touch. We see a customer who will be glad to know that our connection is as reliable as our commitment to personalized customer service. Unwavering, unflagging, and undeniably strong. High-tech and high-touch. That's our strong connection. We are Eastern Communications.
Here are some things you can do to help mitigate the spread of the virus. Stay at home. Spend time with your loved ones and family. Practice social distancing when going out to buy essentials. Regularly wash your hands with soap for 20 seconds or longer, or use alcohol or hand sanitizers. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth. Cover your mouth with a tissue or sleeve when coughing or sneezing. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces. Stay healthy and take vitamins. Get enough sleep and drink plenty of water. Let's help one another to fight the virus. Stay safe, mga ka-Eastern.
Good afternoon mga ka-Eastern! Hello po sa inyong lahat and welcome to today's live event. My name is Joyce Spring Trevino and I'm your host for today as always. I hope that you guys are staying safe and healthy wherever you're joining us from. Kanina tinitignan ko na po yung live stream natin at marami sa atin ang mga early birds. So I just want to say hello sa ating mga ka-Eastern katulad ni Dindo, si Gia nandyan na, si Nandine, Angelica, Gia also joining us, Rosalie, Leonicio Jr., Veron, Glenn, Joseph, Maria Divino Garcia, Christina, Giancarlo, Jorge Emanuel is also tuned in. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. If you are watching and enjoying this program, please do say hello in the chat box and welcome to ENSPIRE. Finding Strength in Adversity, where we feature different leaders in the business sector to talk about how they keep the gears running in this time of crisis. You know, this is so many installments already of ENSPIRE, but every time I'm here with you guys, I'm learning new things and it gets me inspired, motivated, and encouraged to really stay resilient during these difficult times. These are tough times indeed, and the ENSPIRE webinar series is here to remind everybody that we are all in this together. But before we begin, please help me welcome Eastern Communications Sales Industry Head Gia Renin, who will be giving us her opening remarks.
Hello mga ka-Eastern. Thank you for taking time off your busy work schedule, either at home or at the office. With everything that's happening around us, it's important that we keep our head up high and hope for a better tomorrow. That despite of all this, we strive to survive, we adapt, we change. Eastern Communications is with you to take you from where you are now to where you want to go. We come alongside to help you overcome the barriers. From our strong connection to yours, we bring you this inspiring afternoon. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Miss Gian. Ako, nakakatuwa naman po talaga that we're all here this afternoon to really get inspired and get motivated. Alam naman natin na kailangan natin ng community when there's adversity around us. So that's really Filipino bayanihan, right? So for today's episode, we'll be discussing how we will navigate the world of e-commerce, especially in our new normal. Hindi ko alam kung nakita niyo po yung meme na yon na parang sa ibang bansa ito daw yung mga statement, tapos pag sa Pilipinas daw ang statement ay PM is the key, sis, or mag-DM ka na lang para sa price ng mga binibenta ko ngayon. E-commerce really is so important during these days. Now, before we go into that, a few reminders before we begin. We will be having our Q&A portion after the talk itself, so please hold on to your questions until then. The speakers won't be entertaining questions during the talk, but he will be staying for the Q&A. So kung meron po kayong mga tanong, pwede nyo nang isend sa ating chat box. We have something special also in store for everyone joining our talk today. So please do stick around until the end of the Q&A to find out what those surprises are. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker, Albert Quadrante. He is the president and CEO of Acumen Strategy Consultants, a consultancy firm focused on strategy, transformation, and capability building to enable higher business performance. Prior to his present role, Albert had a successful 12-year stint in Jollibee Foods Corporation, handling various executive leadership positions. His most recent role in JFC was heading the digital commerce and customer loyalty division for the Philippines, which he was tasked to pioneer and establish. Albert began his marketing career with Procter & Gamble Philippines and served as faculty of his alma mater, the Ateneo de Manila University, teaching marketing and advertising management at the Loyola School's JG School of Management from 1997 to 2013. Albert was also the recipient of the 2013 Asia Pacific Tambuli CMO of the Year Award. I'm sure you're familiar with him from our first Inspire Talk with him, and we're so glad to have him back. Please welcome Mr. Albert Quadrante.
Thank you, Joyce, and thank you to Eastern Communications for having me back. Today, we're going to talk about making a quick digital pivot for those of you who are still in that process. And for those of you who've already made that digital migration, it's also a good session to see and evaluate whether the choices you've made digitally are the right ones for your business. So just for those who may have missed the introduction, my name is Albert Quadrante, and I'm the president of Acumen Strategy Consultants. We are a consulting company, consulting firm that helps businesses with their business transformation as well as their digital transformation. Prior to this, I was the head of digital commerce and customer loyalty for the Jollibee Foods Group for the Philippine businesses. So I'm sure you agree that even if now we have moved to GCQ, business continues to be very challenging and tough. And for many of us, these are probably some of the ways this pandemic has impacted us. No? First is for those of us who are in the retail business or even in manufacturing, some of our stores or facilities may have already closed or are having difficulty staying open because of the quarantine limitations. Also, we are probably missing that connection with our customers because many of us really have a very high touch type of business. And so customer relationship is very important in our business. And for some, unfortunately, the current environment has already caused them to close shop. No? So that's a point where we don't want to get into. For those of our customers or consumers, they're also limited with the accessibility to our products and also difficulty in getting information because again, the traditional channels are not available at the moment. And there are only very few choices available right now because for the sellers and manufacturers, we've also had to pare down our product selection just to make sure that we are able to run more efficiently. And therefore, settling is what customers are having to deal with at the moment. Okay. In our study for Acumen, we found out that consumer behavior has shifted to mainly suspending their brand loyalty. Whereas before, people really had specific brands that they would use. In the current environment, product availability is the priority. And people are more willing to sacrifice brand loyalty just to make sure that their pantries are stocked or their needs are met. No? So there is a real risk for us, the sellers, losing our loyal customers in this environment. And so the top priority for most of the businesses now would be really to open up other additional channels by which customers can transact or order from our businesses. No? And the natural migration has been the more popular move for the digital space. And this is really what we're going to talk about today. And we've already seen that now Visa came out with a survey saying, which resulted to 7 out of 10 Filipinos really shopping more online. We've also seen this kind of move in the manufacturing sector, where now more and more manufacturing companies are adopting digital solutions to enable them to operate more efficiently because manpower is a little bit scarce due to the quarantine impact. No? And so when we move to digital, what I would be offering are some of the key considerations that you'd like to keep in mind just to make sure that your move is the right one for you. So the first consideration is always design and develop mobile first. And we'll get into what mobile first means in a little while. The second is the speed of development and launch. So you'd want to be able to get and launch a platform as quickly as possible so that you can accelerate the revenues that you're going to get from that digital channel and helping cushion the impact on the closure of your traditional stores. The third is making sure, of course, that your investment is rather low because in this survival mode, we are protecting our cash and therefore our consideration should be really wise investments and typically to keep that at lower levels. Okay, it is as important to design or choose a digital solution which is consumer friendly but also operationally friendly for you as the business. No? And this means that the solution should have a very simple dashboard by which you can monitor the transactions and orders that are coming in. Develop for your target market just means that having a very intimate and good understanding of who you're selling to will obviously dictate what type of digital solution you will be choosing, because not everybody has access to very good internet, for example, or very sophisticated gadgets. So you need to know who you're developing that solution for. And that's really also related to this, no? Because as digital platforms become more widely used, people are also having to register their information and put their information there. And for you as the seller or the manufacturer, these are valuable information that later on you can use to make your selling more efficient and also more tailored to your target market. This is often sometimes forgotten, no? That many of the people who use your platform will have different levels of digital savviness. Not all can be assumed that are millennials or are having an easy time maneuvering with the gadgets, especially seniors. So keep that in mind when you choose your solution. And of course, the last is as we get more and more data from our customers, some email, mobile information, addresses, etc., we have to comply with the very actively enforced Data Privacy Act and make sure that we respect the privacy of the customers that we deal with. No? And later on, again, we will touch on that. So what does it mean to design for mobile first? Designing for mobile first means that having in mind the mobile phone as the user interface when you design or when you choose a digital solution, because most of the transactions already now happen in mobile phones. If you already have a website, just make sure that the website that you originally designed is called a responsive site, where it also adjusts its configuration when it is viewed in a mobile phone or a tablet. So that's really what digital designing for mobile first means. And this is just some statistics supporting why we design for mobile first, because as you can see here, over 50% of people transact or do web activities already over the mobile phone, while less than 45% use laptops or desktops, and even smaller for tablets and other types of computers. So really, that's why digital first becomes a very important not only strategy, but I guess priority when you're looking at your digital solutions. And behaviorally also, this is going to come in very important, because this is related to my recommendation later as we move along, is that knowing that the behavior of most of people in the digital space are really hovering around social media and social messaging or messaging applications. Now, that's already 100%. And the statistics just keep on assuring us that this is not going to stop. No, so 93% engaged or contributed to social media. I'm sure all of us here have done that. Close to 4 hours of browsing time, etc. And the nice thing here is that you can see in the last icon there that social media is not really just used for personal or entertainment purposes, but more and more people are now comfortable using it for business transactions. That's now 60%. And if you look at the types of social media platforms to be on, of course, Facebook still dominates, YouTube, etc. No, many people get surprised when they see this chart because since many of us are Viber users, we tend to think that Viber is very, very high in terms of usage. But if you look at this, it's just really 34%. No, the most popular messaging platform is still Facebook Messenger, largely because it's attached to the Facebook platform. Okay. In terms of payment, people still prefer to pay in cash. No, and when you order your food delivery, for example, you'll probably also notice that most often you will pay in cash. But bank transfers are also increasing in terms of choice of payment and even e-wallets. And the more recent articles that have been covered point to that. No? So InstaPay, PesoNet are forms of transacting bank to bank, and GCash as one form of e-wallet has already posted surge in its transaction going past the 100 billion peso mark. No? So those are all indicative that people are getting used to this type of payment and slowly going away from cash payments. Also because cash tends to be less safe in terms of hygiene. No? And the easiest way for me at the moment, for those who have not yet migrated digitally, or for those who are still thinking about whether what you have is the right thing for you, is to go through your digital transformation through conversational commerce. So what's conversational commerce? It's usually a digital platform that's embedded in messaging applications like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Viber, etc. And this term was coined by Chris Messina of Uber as early as 2016, and it's now becoming more and more used because this is really linked to the earlier fact or statistic that I showed you that most people are really in social media. So why do you have to create a different platform when people are already there anyway? It makes it more intuitive. It makes it easier for them to switch from browsing to transacting. So that's why conversational commerce for me is probably the easiest way for us to migrate to digital. So what are examples of conversational commerce or c-commerce? Don't forget that SMS is still a very viable pseudo-digital solution. No, it's not as sexy as many of the apps that we see, but certainly SMS is still very much viable and something that we should not definitely discount because in some parts of the country, we're still pretty much dependent on the 3G as our network speed. So SMS would probably be the best choice for areas that way. No? And SMS has also been growing in popularity now, even if more messaging apps for smartphones are mushrooming because it doesn't need a smartphone. You can use it on your the older, what we call now dumb phones, no, the ones that don't have a touch screen, and it's easy for even the non-techies to use because it's SMS. So everybody, most of the people already know how to do SMS. And again, as I said, it's a good option for areas with very unreliable internet or data. Okay, another one that I personally like is organized online markets. No, and there's a difference between I differentiate organized versus just your ordinary marketplaces where you join and it's more confusing. So if you look at the Pitan Arcade, for those of you who are familiar with the Pitan is so well known for buying affordable home decors at wholesale and really low prices. And of course, this was also affected by the pandemic, no? But now even the Pitan has migrated to digital. So the Pitan Arcade has gone online. And what I know from sulit.ph is they have very, very good traffic since they launched this, I think a few weeks back, no, and it's been picked up by media. And so many people have been, I've been monitoring social media, and people have been thanking them for bringing the Pitan Arcade online. And why is this such a good platform for vendors? One, because you can ride on the host's search engine optimization efforts and search engine marketing efforts. You don't have to do your own, because Sulit.ph in that example will do it anyway. It has higher targeted traffic because the host already has an established base. You have access to data analytics, again, because the host will have that for you and make that available. Better user experience because they've already developed that, keeping in mind the user base that they cater to. And of course, the customer service is something that they will already offer. So more or less, it's already been set up, and all you need to do is really enroll and sign up with them if you're in that particular type of marketplace. So in this case, the Pitan. I think they're also going to be developing some for the other. All is not lost for the Tiangge owners. The other more popular, and probably you're already familiar with, type of community are the other online communities like Viber communities. No, and this is the reason why many of us are bombarded with ube, pandesal, ube cheese, and all of these things. And they sell that in Viber communities. This is also good, but since it's not as organized, it's harder to stand out as a vendor and really make yourself known, no? Because there's so many people here and it gets cluttered. Once the messages start coming in, matatabunan ka na, no? And that's really the difficulty in this kind of platform. The other one that I like particularly as a form of conversational commerce is really the chatbots that are embedded already in the messaging apps attached to the main social media platforms. No? So the most popular of which is Facebook Messenger. And this type of solution is also available for manufacturing companies because there are already chatbots that have been created specifically addressing manufacturing companies to improve supply and inventory management. So all you have to do is make like you're chatting in a messenger app, and a bot will actually answer on behalf of the company. So if you want to know how many more boxes of this is available, the back end, which is tied into the bot, is already able to answer that in more or less real time. It also allows manufacturing companies to monitor the conditions in their work environment also in real time, as long as it is attached to the application in the chatbot. Obviously, it improves order and delivery fulfillment because you can attach it also to a logistics app, and because it's a bot, doesn't sleep. So you can program the bot to answer most of the popular questions that would come its way, and it will be able to do that 24/7. If it can't, there's also an opportunity to hand it off to a human interaction later during the business hours. No, but I think many more companies are experiencing that they can also use this particular solution to save their OPEX and to make things more efficient for them. So just to round out our discussion for today in terms of C-commerce, just summarize the benefits of using C-commerce for sellers, no? For those of you who are participating and are engaged in the retail segment, even for manufacturers, this would also hold true. So some of the benefits, just running them down, would be improved customer service. Brand loyalty is fostered because conversational commerce, by virtue of what it's called, allows you for a two-way type of interaction with buyer. Online reviews are promoted also because if you see, during when you do like organized marketplaces, they will also put your products and feature it, and they'll put reviews behind very good products. Cross-selling, upselling opportunities. There's more accurate logging of information, again, because the system is already riding on a white label solution or a solution that's been developed for off the rack. And then there's a lot of data and consumer data analysis that's available for future use for targeted marketing. For the customers or consumers, also there are counterpart benefits, and it's very easy to use because it's mostly embedded in social media. You're already using it. You don't have to download a separate app for it. It can run on 3G, so it's not very selective in terms of its data requirement. Usually, because it runs on 3G, it's also faster. And again, there's that two-way type of conversation that allows you to ask questions or to clarify things in almost real time. No? Okay, so even if you've already launched your own platform, I want to put this here because it's very important that you round out your digital pivot and transformation efforts by making sure you're also monitoring the performance of your solution. No? And one of the key metrics that I'd like for us to talk about today would be the conversion funnel, or how efficient are you translating the traffic in your digital platform into an actual transaction. No? And this is how the funnel looks like. I'll give you an example of a typical conversion funnel. This one is from Amazon. No? So Amazon, out of the sessions that it gets from visitors going to its site, ultimately, because of the tremendous volume, the productive transactions of Amazon only would be around 3%. That may seem small as a percentage, but that's a volume, that's a humongous volume if you translate that, considering the total universe of transactions or traffic that Amazon gets. No? For a smaller company, a good benchmark would probably be a conversion rate somewhere between 20 to 30%. That would be a good conversion rate for companies that are maybe medium-sized companies. Yeah. Okay. So how do you ensure a good conversion rate? It's very, very simple. No? So one of the things that allow people to stay, or the stickiness of your site, would be your site speed. The second is the simplicity to navigate. Inputting addresses, for example, would be easy. Knowing where to find things and click buttons are not difficult. It has the right amount of information, but also not going too overboard and being cluttered. No? And this is also this has become very important, accepting most common payment formats. That's why my advice for you who have already put up your own digital channels, make sure you go with a payment gateway that accepts most credit cards, the popular e-wallets, and of course bank transfers, because next to cash, that's the most common preferred payment mode. So customers also like the ability for them to track their orders. What's the status? When's their order going to arrive? So that feature has to be built in somewhat already in your digital solution. And lastly, allow customers to give you feedback, both positive and negative, and for you to be able to respond quickly to that feedback. So getting started is not very difficult. It's really just 2 steps. The first step is making sure that your objectives are very clear. And the best way to do that is write a brief, a business brief outlining the different objectives that you want for your digital solution, and describe what you want it to do. Is it for delivery, order pickup, monitoring, etc.? And then I would advocate you shortlist at least 3 vendors that are able to provide similar solutions, so that you just have a comparison and a good number of choices, so that you are also looking at different types of best practices, no, that these vendors have already been able to do themselves. And for us, we can help you with that. Acumen does help you adapt in this currently volatile environment. And one of the things that we would love to work with you or help you with is making sure you just don't join the digital bandwagon and do random acts of digital. We've seen so many companies do this. Open up their own app and do this and do that. So random acts of digital without really looking at what's really the business strategy that's driving your digital solution. Because remember, digital is a solution. It should not be an end in itself. No? And that's why your digital transformation should be backed up with a clear, articulated business strategy, and making sure that the e-commerce initiatives you put there are all relevant to your target market. Have an omni-channel approach. What does that mean? That means all your digital touch points are kind of related and feed off each other in terms of experience. And at the same time, making sure that your investments also return in terms of the right type of engagement. No, your marketing metrics have to be identified early on, and making sure that all of those things lead to good customer relationship management with the proper use of the data that you're able to gather. So I'll leave you with this last quote as an end to my presentation today. This is from Steve Jobs. You got to start with the customer experience and work back toward the technology, not the other way around. Just means don't do it for the sake of getting on digital. Make sure that the first thing you do is understand the needs of your customers or your consumers, and your digital solutions will naturally follow. So thank you for your attention. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you, and I hope that we can all get back on track together.
Thank you very much, Sir Albert, for that presentation. I just have to say, I always learn so much whenever I watch your presentations. And as somebody who's such a staunch believer in the digital movement, in knowing where we place our businesses, I feel like it was really, really inspiring. Maraming salamat, Sir Albert, and welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, and good to be back. Thank you very much.
Sir, it's the first time that I actually heard the term conversational commerce. But when you explained it, I understood that, it's been existing for the longest time already. It's something that I've personally bought things from, buying your groceries or people selling stuff in our condo. It's something that I use. But for those who are using conversational commerce setup, what are some of the most common mistakes you think that business owners could make in that setup?
Well, that's a good point, because I think one of the things that people are more used to hearing is e-commerce, whereas conversational commerce is really c-commerce. No, and there's a big difference in terms of digital platform basis, because c-commerce platforms are typically more attuned to the messenger apps, and therefore they are built really for simpler types of transactions, whereas e-commerce platforms that are more common, let's say the Lazadas, the Shopees, and the Amazons even, they have very, very big ranges of offerings already, and their systems are more complicated. No? And one of the biggest mistakes actually that newcomers in this platform tend to make is to assume that whatever they have in their brick and mortar, they just mirror in their c-commerce site. So for example, if you're a type of store that sells 1,000 products in your product offering, simply translating that 1,000 products when you open a c-commerce solution is a big mistake, because one, you'll probably take too long before you launch it. The second is there are a lot more risks in terms of it performing properly because of the complexity. So keeping it simple is usually what we would advise people who want to go into this rather quickly, because the conversation also tends to be, when you chat, right? You also don't want a very long type of thing that you have to browse through. In our personal experience, for example, like myself, when I see a Viber message, for example, that's kilometrically long, I don't even bother to read it. You just kind of glance through the topic and then just... So it's the same when you do a e-commerce type of solution. Try to keep it simple, very easy to maneuver. And then the other one is the point I made earlier, that some people, once they launch it, they stop. So it's important to keep in mind that you continually have to monitor the performance so that you know how to improve the responsiveness, especially if it's a bot. No, when you're dealing with bots, you have to look at the way the machine is learning. Are they using the language that the customers are used to? Alam ba nila yung HM, for example, na pag sinas mo, baka mamaya i-redirect ka sa site ng H&M pag hindi mo tinuruan yung chatbot mo. No? So these are the things that I think, the two things: keep it simple and keep on monitoring and improving your solution.
I like that because it focuses on the customer experience, which is kind of what you were talking about at the last slide, really focusing on the customer experience and using the digital platform or the conversational commerce setup as what it is, a platform or a way for you to do your business. Now, it's so prevalent now. E-commerce is so prevalent. Conversational commerce setup is so prevalent. But do you think that shifting to the digital platform mean that the traditional face-to-face mode of running a business will eventually be dead or is dead?
This is an ongoing discussion or even debate amongst practitioners in this space, because on one hand, there is the extreme that they want to fully automate everything. But myself, I think that human touch is irreplaceable, and there is always going to be a place for human interaction and face-to-face. The bot has limitations. It has to learn. It's not as there are programmed responses. And as you know, many of our own responses as customers are largely unpredictable. No? So even in the current chatbot interfaces, there would be hybrids of combination of chatbots and human interface. Pag hindi na kaya ng bot, if the bot can't answer you anymore, then it hands off actually to a human person to take on your call. No? So there's definitely going to remain spaces for human and face-to-face interaction. The second one is, I think, socially also, particularly for us as a people, we're very sociable people, and we tend to want that kind of warmth in the customer service that we are used to enjoying. You know, before the pandemic happened, people in the stores actually they love interacting with each other, and therefore that kind of social component will probably not be replaced. Lalo na sa retail apparel, no? You know, you want somebody's opinion. Pag nagsukat ka, gusto mo ng opinion, yung ganyan. Di yan kaya ng bot. No? So I think there will still be a place for face-to-face interaction.
I really do believe that also. As a customer, I would have different shops where I would buy, let's say, plants or food, right? I always stick to the shop that has the best human interaction, where they give you a nice conversation. They tell you what you're looking for. You know, it's not just automated. Although automation is really good, I feel like that human connection is always so important. It's what they always say, even with AI, diba? Sobrang importante pa rin nun. But earlier, Sir Albert, you were talking about the ensuring the data privacy of your customers, which is very important. For those who are just starting out their businesses, how do you ensure data privacy in an e-commerce setup?
Okay, data privacy is actually a very complicated thing, and it's also very serious. No, it's something that our government has taken a closer look at, in fact, because of the proliferation of so many commerce sites already in this environment. The first thing that you need to ensure is when you look at a vendor, you prefer vendors that actually have very good experience in the software as a service model. I would personally recommend that you go for these types of vendors because usually they've already vetted all sorts of applications as well attached to cybersecurity, and which is one, if you're going to do that on your own, it's very expensive to fortify your own and you host your own. So go with a vendor that offers software as a service in terms of model. The second is these vendors also typically will do what we call VAPT, all the vulnerability and penetration testing. That's a regular type of testing to ensure that the site remains secure, the details that the customers shared on the site, email, mobile, some address information, are all encrypted, and therefore when a hacker tries to attempt to penetrate your site, it will be blocked. No, it will have a very secure system. This is particularly important because many of the sites already do payment transactions, so it would be a shame to be hacked as well. So two fronts in terms of security. One is data privacy. The other one is actually the security itself of the site from being hacked.
Yeah, so many things to consider. I feel like that's one of the last things that you think about when you're doing an e-commerce, right? Because you feel like the internet is such a safe place because you're constantly in it. It's where you do your socials, it's where you do your business. So parang there's a certain level of comfortability, and it's a good reminder to be wary of that comfortability, right? To always keep in mind.
You know, Joyce, I think what the irony of it is we all say that this is so important, but we as customers and users are readily sharing our own information without even thinking of it. We just like to tick the I agree in many of the terms and conditions, not really bothering to read. So in many cases, the things that you are complaining about, you actually agreed to knowingly. Just by ticking that very, very quickly, you know. And I don't blame them because it's a kilometric document. But again, these are all in the fine print, unfortunately.
Which is, I think, one another talk that you have to give us: data privacy and really learning about the safety of using the internet, especially if you are a consumer or a business owner. Now, I think one of the conversations also that we've had is how this entire situation that we're in, this pandemic, has really pushed the world into digitalization. And, it's everything has transformed because of it. But what if the world never had to go through this new normal? Would transitioning to e-commerce and online platforms still be relevant? What do you think, sir?
I think it would be I guess the biggest variable there would be the speed by which it got there, no? Because many people are really calling COVID-19 as the biggest digital transformation accelerator, the factor that did that. No, but before this, many companies are already beginning to really look at digital transformation, but the pace hasn't been as quick. In fact, that's why many were caught flat-footed when this whole thing happened, because some are like in the middle of their transformation efforts, and therefore they've had to accelerate, while others were still dilly-dallying and making a business case and all that, and this happened. So, but the point is, we're going to get there. It's going to get there because digital initiatives are a way also to establish efficiencies in the business, no? And we have to take advantage of the technology that's becoming more and more available, both from a customer side and the manufacturing side. So earlier we gave some examples of how manufacturers can actually take advantage of digitalization in their businesses, because you can actually monitor things real time if you do your digital transformation at the back end pretty well and more efficient.
And before this whole thing happened, I mean, there were so many services already that cater to the digitalization of everything, right? Like you were saying, there were the e-wallets already, and it just had a huge spike when the pandemic happened. So I feel like we were already gearing up for it, but we were kind of slowly going into it because, as you mentioned, as a people, we love the connection, we love the conversational, we love that going there mismo, seeing the item first before purchasing it. But now we have no choice, so I think everyone transformed.
Yes, and that's also why I think at the moment people are now looking at how do you try to make that digital experience as personal as it was before. And this is really why e-commerce has become more popular, because among the platforms, it's the one that allows for a two-way interaction, whether with the bot or with a hybrid bot-human type of interaction. You as the user can still actually communicate. It's not one way.
Yeah. I think that's something that we all have to figure out, even in personal settings, kind of recreating that human connection that we all need, not just in business. Now, Sir Albert, you were talking about earlier how the ease of use, obviously for millennials and the younger generations, that's obvious because we were born into the digital age. We are, I think it's really the generations that use computers and smartphones and all of this. But you also mentioned that you have to look at your business in such a way that you also want to cater to the older demographic. So what should be taken into consideration to ensure the ease of use for the older demographic who aren't digital natives?
Okay. Well, one is making sure that many of these things are actually fairly obvious and simple, but it's a good reminder. One is have simple instructions when the site opens, how to use, and it's very simple and shouldn't be too long. So kind of bullet pointed type of simple instructions. The second, you might laugh, but make your fonts a little bit bigger. That's almost always like people forget that fonts actually make a big deal in terms of the user friendliness of the application. And third is, before actually getting launched, bother to have several people in the demographic use it and give you feedback in terms of what they're finding difficult, or is it already easy to maneuver. So these are the top three things if you're going in that direction. But the fourth actually is, which is why I included it earlier, making sure that you don't rule out SMS as a form of conversational commerce, because everybody across generations already very comfortable with SMSing, and this is one of the surest ways to still that you don't alienate the senior demographic, is because that's already almost intuitive to them by this time.
It's so important. And I feel like it's so funny when you said fonts because I was thinking also, baka pwede images, right? It's easier to explain through images or videos, maybe. Just maybe look for creative ways on how you can sell your products and make it appeal to the older demographic. If all else fails, the apos are here to help out. And I think that's also a great way to create bonding between the family. Sir, I guess we're down to our last question. I've kind of taken so much of your time already because we want to learn so much about e-commerce and conversational commerce. But for the final question, I just wanted to ask, out of all of the things that you shared with us here today, is there a golden rule to setting up your business online or to setting up your business in this new normal?
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that because this is what we've also been advocating for people who come to us for help in terms of navigating this current environment digitally specifically. One is please resist the temptation to do just random acts of digital just because your neighbor, your competitor, your friend has done it. So for example, oh, I saw that this business has already opened an app. I want an app also. So resist that knee-jerk reaction of just automatically joining the bandwagon by doing all sorts of things and start with a real business strategy, making sure that before you get into the digital space, you've already internalized how you would pivot your business in terms of adapting in this kind of environment. What products are you going to be selling? What type of experience do you want to impart when people start ordering from your platform? These are the things that you think of before, not after you open your digital solution. So stop doing random acts of digital. The second is making sure that continuously evaluating, monitoring, and improving, because in the digital space, the agile mindset is so critical. No, it's not the traditional way of thinking where you perfect everything and launch. Digital is you launch with a minimum viable product and improve along the way. Improving, that's why many of our apps continuously update, right? Removing bugs, adding features. That's because they continually look at the behavior of people and address that in their next update. So those are the big two things for me. Start with a plan before you choose your solution. Once you've chosen, it doesn't end there. Monitor the performance. We talked about conversion funnel. How efficient is it in terms of delivering your business requirements and the user experience that you want your target market to be able to go through.
Think about the business strategy and then apply it in the digital platform. Sir Albert, before I final na talaga to, last question, before I let you go, what do you love most about this new platform, the e-commerce? What do you enjoy most about it? And how do you think it will really help the businesses, even now, who are just starting out?
Well, this particular one that I'm advocating, the C-commerce or conversational commerce, I like it because it's already embedded in what we're so used to, which is social media. You don't have to really go out of the norm, no? Because when you develop your own app, there is the added step of making people aware and download your app. But since C-commerce is already embedded in Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Viber, these are apps that you already have on your phone. And it's just a matter of doing your social media marketing correctly to point to that direction where you tell your people, hey, you can now make a transaction in your social media without having to leave Facebook, leave Viber, etc. It's just as easy as a click away. And I think that's what it's the great equalizer, giving a big chance for micro and small businesses to still be able to connect and survive in this environment. I think it's really, I would describe it as that, it's a great equalizer.
Yeah, it's really liberating for a lot of businesses knowing that they have another option to do their business, hindi lang face-to-face. Sir Albert, as always, it was such a joy to speak with you, to learn from you. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
My pleasure, and thank you again for having me. Thank you to Eastern Communications.
Maraming salamat, Sir Albert Cuadrante, who joined us here this afternoon for a very inspiring talk. You know, as somebody who is a digital native who loves the digital platform, I feel like it really is important to have conversations like these. Not only is it encouraging and inspiring, it also is a way for us to learn how we can adapt to this new normal and keep our businesses running through these difficult times. Thank you once again for everyone who sent in also their questions, who were saying that they loved the conversation that we were having. And we did mention that there would be surprises waiting for you at the end of the episode. And I come bearing gifts. We have 2 hydro flasks for 2 lucky raffle winners, perfect for keeping hydrated and healthy on hot days or even on rainy days like these. It's nice to have a hot cup of coffee or hot cup of chocolate, diba? For our major prize naman, we have a Sony wireless headphone set for 1 lucky winner. And with this, you could listen in on your work from home meetings without getting tangled in cords or move with ease without having to put your audio on hold. Now, for the winners, to claim their prizes at the end of the episode, simply take a screen cap once we flash your name on the screen and send it to us at marketing@etpi.com.ph with the subject heading Inspire Raffle Winner. If you guys are ready, here are our first 2 winners. Our winners for 2 hydro flasks are... Congratulations, Edison Carrasco and Aris Monreal. Congratulations, you guys. Don't forget to take a screen cap and email at marketing@etpi.com.ph. I think it's right about time that we take a screen cap. Smile. You got it, dude. Congratulations, you guys. Okay. I've been eyeing this Sony wireless headphone set for a while now. I've been telling everyone from Eastern Communications that I should be the winner one of these days, pero hindi daw pwede. So, eto na. Ang raffle winner for our major prize of a Sony wireless headphone set, we have... Glenn Magtibay. Congratulations, Glenn. Okay, I'm going to take a pose, so take a screen cap. All right, congratulations to all of our raffle winners. If you didn't win the raffle prizes like myself, I'm sure you still feel like a winner from everything that we've learned here this afternoon. So thank you so much once again for joining us. Thank you to Sir Albert Quadrante, who was our speaker for today. Thank you to our lovely audience and clients. And as always, to show our gratitude and solidarity, we are sending a 200 peso Grab Food voucher from Eastern Communications. We'll send you the details via email soon after this talk, and we hope that you were inspired and given a spark of hope amid our current global situation. Stay connected with us on our Facebook page at EasternCom and make sure to catch all the other talks and events we have lined up for you. And I think that's pretty much it for our program this afternoon. I hope you guys were inspired, motivated, and encouraged by our talk for today. Make sure to watch out for the next few episodes of Inspire. This has been Joyce Bling Trevino. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay inspired. Bye-bye.